Namaskar everyone. Welcome to my class. My name is Pooja Devedi and today we are going to demystify what is wrong with the Trump administration and its hassles and obstacles with international bodies. Recently, the Trump administration has planned to exit out of 66 international bodies. Now, this is due to the Trump administration's understanding that these international bodies are just taking away things and resources from USA, but not contributing enough. Other point of agenda for or point of reason for withdrawal from these international bodies is that they are not serving the USA's purpose anymore. Third one is that they are supporting wokeism in the name of diversity. So is the current situation in America getting worse? We have recently seen that an ICE officer shot a 37-year-old woman just for blocking their pathway, calling it a self-defense, which is not correct. So the current situation in the US is not very friendly and not very pink. But we have to understand how are things working and how it will impact the global situation. So according to this news piece, as you see, that US is going to exit 66 international organizations. And this was something that we didn't see coming. This was not so. We knew that this was about to happen. However, one thing for sure that was there is it came really quick. In the current year itself, the Trump administration, when it came to power in January 2025, beg your pardon, in the last year, January 2025, in February 2025, it started a plan to withdraw. It wanted to withdraw. So this wasn't something that we didn't see coming. We always knew that the Trump administration is not very in favor of multinational cooperation. We know that it is tainting NATO. It is calling NATO a farce. It is calling NATO something like that would not exist without the USA. Many problems exist. So let's talk about this situation. President Trump signed an executive order suspending US support for 66 international organizations, which is a comprehensive review of US participation and funding in international agencies. Majority are UN-related agencies, United Nations, which is actually a joke right now. Many focus on climate change, labor, population, culture, and social issues. They are being corrected that the current administration is saying that they are promoting wokeism or diversity-driven agendas. And we know that the current president doesn't love diversity. He wants to be an egoistic president. That is for sure true. Now, Greenland allies have vowed action if Trump moves to seize world's largest island. Greenland is not something that the Trump administration has started to take over. I mean, this agenda was in USA since 1867. It was the same year when USA purchased Alaska from Russia. And since then, USA maintained that Greenland is as much possible as Alaska. In 1946, it was President Truman who proposed that Greenland could be purchased for $100 million. But Denmark back then did not comply. Apart from that, if we talk about the current administration, President Trump in 2019 also said that we must purchase Greenland. In 2019, he said it. Denmark said no. So Trump cancels his engagement from Denmark, his visit from Denmark. Apart from that, in the current year and the last year, 2025-2026, it wants to purchase Greenland. Again, why the current president is so adamant on doing it? Because of the ice melt in the Arctic and opening of new trade routes. That is the only reason right now. Apart from that, if we talk about the withdrawal, UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, which is the parent of the Paris Agreement. We already know that in Paris Agreement, the Trump administration did not want to participate. So foundational treaty underlying the Paris Climate Agreement, withdrawal weakens global climate cooperation. UN Population Fund, it provides sexual and reproductive health services globally. International Solar Alliance, the Trump administration has withdrew from it. UNESCO, again the US has exited. Earlier also it exited. But during Biden administration, It rejoined, USA rejoined, but again it exited. Apart from that, WHO, UN Relief and Work Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UN Human Rights Council, Carbon Free Energy Compact, United Nations University, International Cotton Advisory Committee, International Tropical Timber Organization, Pan America Institute for Geography and History, International Federation of Arts Council, Cultural Agency, and International Lead and Zinc Study Groups. These are certain areas, certain bodies from which US has withdrawn. Now, organizations according to US are being told as they are redundant, not utilized enough, mismanaged, wasteful, or poorly run. Now, they do not reflect current government's priorities. That is why also. The impact is that Trump has already insulted its NATO allies, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is actually a democratic military organization. Trump says that without US, it is nothing. And only nation China and Russia fear is US, according to Donald Trump. He made very indecent remarks about it. That is also a problem. Move makes a sharp retreat from multilateralism. It also has forced the NATO to cut off staff and programs due to no funding from the USA. NGOs and aid agencies report project closure after USAID fundings have been cut. Now, US is now adopting an a la carte approach. A la carte means just selectively keeping in line with certain multinational platforms, not all. It will selectively engage in standard setting bodies such as the International Telecommunication Union, Maritime Organization, and Labor Organization, because Chinese influence is growing over here. Withdrawals is coinciding with a more assertive US. The US is again trying to prove that it is a monopolical world according to it. There are no multipolarity. There is only one world, one power in the world, which is the US, according to the Trump administration. It represents a major departure from bipartisan US support for UN system. Bipartisan support means both the Democrats and the Republicans. They were supporting UN. But now only one party is supporting and the other big party is not doing so. However, the executive order actually was signed back in February 2025, where a 180-day window was given for the administration to look out any multilateral organization which is not useful for USA anymore. All international treaties the US is party to, objectives were to decide whether US participation should be withdrawn or not. And this was actually a potential break from the past 1945 US internationalism, where US wanted to be the rule maker. And now US wants to be a rule breaker. Withdrawal from Human Rights Council, funding to UNRWA, it was already stopped in February 2025. Reconsideration of UNESCO membership happened, and again UNESCO withdrawal happened. Already it had existed from back then only. Paris Climate Agreement, World Health Organization, and commitments under the 1951 Refugee Convention were also shaken off. Now, India is not also a signatory to it. That is why anti-immigrant sentiments are rising in the USA. India is also not a party to this. Okay. Move towards bilateral tariffs, undermining the World Trade Organization, all it is a part of it. Now, again, if I talk about the nature of the post-1945 world order, it was basically a rule-bound world order. Right now, we are not seeing any rules to be formed. Shared governance of global commons, enlightened self-interest, not altruism. Now, gave legitimacy to US leadership by providing voice to smaller states. Earlier, US wanted that in multilateral platforms, not only the US, but other countries also have a say. It embedded power within law and institutions. It now has replaced rule of law with power politics. It is basically an ego extension of the Trump government. Bilateralism over multilateralism, transactional diplomacy, spheres of influence are more emphasized. It is a rejection upon long-term reciprocity and investment in global public goods. That is also to be seen. So now if we talk about the question, look at this question. Discuss the implications of the US retreat from multilateral institutions from global governance, particularly in the areas of climate change, global health and trade, in 250 words. Okay, so thank you so much everyone for watching this class. We shall meet again with another very important topic. Till then, bye-bye, take care.